This episode of Horror Movie Talk is brought to you by Iron Curtain Condoms, surplus condoms from the USSR. Tired of condoms that don't inspire confidence? So thin you aren't even sure if they are working? Iron Curtain Condoms uses only the strongest hard plastics that are forged by the people for your wiener. For sale in convenient Karl Marx 3-packs or the value saver size Soviet blocks of 100. Visit IronCurtainCondoms.com and enter promo code Bolshevik today and receive the same deal everyone else gets all the time. Iron Curtain Condoms. Protect your dick like we protect the motherland.
Hello and welcome to Horror Movie Talk.
An opinionated and accidentally funny horror movie review show. Go, 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 go.
Took a stroll through the scraggly woods. He had no face! Horror!
Sabrina, don't just stare at it, eat it.
New theatrical releases always get priority.
But we also review older horror movies, both good and horrible.
Wow, that didn't sound good.
Hello! Oh, wow. And welcome to Horror Movie Talk. Your panel of expert hosts each week are Dr. Bryce Hansen.
Hey.
He holds a PhD in spookology, and myself, Professor David Day, the foremost expert in scare meow meows. You guys, we have a great episode for you today. But first, you should check us out at our website, horrormovietalk.com. From there, you find links to all of our social media. We have a very nice Horror Movie Talk group on Facebook where there's lots of people who are constantly discussing horror movies, and we keep out all the advertisers as best we can and only advertise there ourselves. So we promise you will only be hit up by us. Anyway, we do post new episodes every single Wednesday, so make sure to subscribe and leave us a rating on Apple, iTunes, Podcast, Stitcher, all that baloney. If you'd like to call into the show and leave us a voicemail and potentially make it onto the show, you can do so by calling 682-253-4468. Like I said, we have a wonderful show for you today. We will be reviewing Sputnik. This came out in the summer of 2020. We didn't get around to it until now. We are pre-recording this episode, so who knows when you're listening to it. But we'll start out by giving Sputnik a brief review and our score for Sputnik. We score on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being rats, and 5 being an average enough film that hits all the expected marks, and 10 being so good that it transcends genre boundaries. After we give our score, we'll get into spoilers and take a deeper dive into what we liked and hated about the film. And later in this episode, we will be doing Taglines, the old favorite. So, Sputnik is a Russian movie that was released, like I said, in July of 2020. It follows the lone survivor of a spaceship incident and is set in the 1980s to give it that good old Cold War feel. So without any further ado, let's get into the trailer.
Судя по всему, на орбите произошел некий инцидент.
От меня-то что требуется?
Семирадов моя фамилия. Требуется ваша консультация.
Зачем они меня задержат? Сможете объяснить?
Он ничего не знает об этом. Моя задача – это разделить паразита и носителя.
Чего еще от меня надо?
Если я руковожу исследованием, почему от меня по-прежнему все скрывают? Мы рискуем жизнью человека. Герой Советского Союза.
Если герой, значит готов ко всему. В том числе и пожертвовать собой. Надо было мне сразу вам все рассказать.
Бегите.
So, at the time of our watching Sputnik, it is available to stream on Hulu. That's where you watched it too, right? Mm-hmm. So, my synopsis for Sputnik is it's the story of Konstantin Vishnyakov, played by Peter, or I should say Pyotr Fyodorov. Fyodorov, who was the lone survivor of a Russian spaceship crash. His partner was inexplicably killed after the crash, but on the crash site. Strange. Konstantin is being detained at a Soviet research facility in the great land of Kazakhstan for study, as things don't seem to be quite right with him. The great land of Kazakhstan is the setting for this movie. We love Kazakhstan here.
Did you pull any clips from the movie that I would assume you would?
No.
Bummer.
I thought about pulling the running of the Jews. He's laid the egg. Go kill the egg. Make sure the baby Jew doesn't hatch. Only a Jew could get away with that kind of comedy.
That's amazing.
The man in charge of this research facility is Colonel Semiradov, played by Fedor Bondarchuk. Bondarchuk? He goes in, and the colonel goes in search of a neuroscientist to help him determine what is going on with Konstantin. He finds Tatiana Klimova, played by Oksana Akinshina, and enlists her help because she seems to care deeply about the well-being of her patients, even to the point of risking her own career. As the movie progresses, we learn that Konstantin isn't alone in his return to Earth, and everyone gets more Sputnik than they bargained for.
For the record, I think the pronunciation is Constantine.
Constantine? Mm-hmm. Constantin?
Mm-hmm. Constantine.
Constantine.
Like Constantinople.
Yeah.
I actually knew a guy named Constantine in chamber choir at PSU. Well, he has the lowest voice of any person that I've ever known. Amazing.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
My review for Sputnik is, having seen a few teasers for this, I thought I knew what I was getting into, but I did not. This movie looks like a creature feature, and it is, but it's also a drama, and a convincing one at that. As Sputnik unwound itself, I kept having to rejigger my expectations to fit what was happening. I kept asking, why is all this morality and guilt being touted around instead of a bloodthirsty monster? Don't get me wrong, there are some bloodthirsty monster scenes in there, but with a hefty helping of personal drama and good old-fashioned Russian guilt. This is not a movie for the traditional horror fan looking for a good scare. This is more of a tale of heroism, personal responsibility, and standing up to your fears for what is right. Is it a creature feature? It is in a similar way to Monsters, if you've seen that movie from 2010.
Yeah, that is a really good comparison.
Yeah.
It's in the same lane.
Gave me strong Monsters feel. There is a monster, and it's weird, but it's one of several focal points of the movie. I had a technical critique of this version of Sputnik that I happened to watch, which was the subtitles are sometimes so blisteringly fast that I had to back up the movie many times to get to see what was happening and see what was said at the same time. I'm not a fast reader, so one could chalk this up to my shortcomings, but I do feel that it's worth mentioning. It sounds like you had a problem with this.
Yeah, they were really fast. With me, the technical issue was that they were early. Like, it was like a good 2 or 3 seconds early from when the dialogue was spoken, which gets really confusing when two people are speaking. because it has the other person's dialogue under the person speaking.
I think this boils down to the fact that the movie relied on Hulu's subtitles.
Right.
The movie did not have its own subtitles.
Oh, really?
But plastered onto the screen for you to read.
Yeah, you have to turn on Hulu's subtitles.
Because this is an international release, and they didn't want to just throw English subtitles on everything.
But yeah, they were really fast, too. It was hard to get everything.
Yeah, I had to back up multiple times and became quite annoyed with it. But that being said, I enjoyed a lot of what Sputnik had to offer, and I particularly liked the way it handled personal relationships and dialogue. What I didn't love about it was its slow pacing and lack of satisfying finale to the incredible action at the end of the film. It was clear that a tremendous amount of time is devoted to the will they won't they aspect of this, which makes for a boring middle of the film.
Yeah, will they won't they escape?
Yeah, what are what's happening? What are they going to do? They kept on alluding to what they were going to do and talking about it and talking about it and talking about it. And it's like, okay, well, are you?
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah, it kind of does go around in circles in the middle, where it's like, you could have cut out that escape attempt. Like,
right, and then it's a little frustrating in the way that the facility reacts to the escape attempts. It's like,
oh, you little scamp.
But at the same time, it's strangely Russian. You know, it's like, we got this. You're gonna try to escape. You know, it's kind of gulaggy. You know, it's like, oh no, you're in hell. Of course you're gonna try to escape. What are we gonna lock you down more into the middle of nowhere?
Yeah.
Anyway, so what did you think of Sputnik?
It's pretty much what I expected. It didn't really have that many surprises for me. It's a little more moody than like you'd expect this type of movie to be, but this is also the type of movie that I almost always skip, which is scary alien. It's weird. So there's like, I chalk it up to like, what's that one? Stuff like Splice.
Yeah.
Or like, the one, I can't even remember, the Cloverfield one in space. I feel
the Cloverfield Paradox. That's a Netflix exclusive.
Like all these movies where they're up in the space station. It's not like sci-fi futuristic. It's just literally in space, and then some kind of amorphous liquid got into the space station. It's always some amorphous liquid, and they're like, it's confusing. What is it doing? And it borrows from Alien every time, and they don't do it as good.
Yeah,
because Alien is like, okay, you got like a bunch of different forms of this alien, which are all interesting, and these movies is like, let's do black oil. And then it slowly grows into an alien, just like an alien. It's like, okay.
You know the movie that really pays off in this genre? Sunshine.
I guess. I mean, this kind of movie just doesn't do it for me. Even Sunshine.
Have you seen Sunshine?
Yeah. I didn't.
Wow.
Same kind of thing. I almost put Sunshine in the same category as Event Horizon. Like, I don't get why people love this movie so much.
I really like Sunshine a lot. I like it a lot. I'm offended by you. But so what
I give it.
What's your score for Sputnik?
Better than average for this type of film. I give it a 6. I just wasn't that excited about it.
Yeah, I can totally see a 6. I'm about a 7 on it. Yeah, this is I mean, it's a fine enough film. Some of the podcasts that are in the same lane as us really loved this movie a lot.
Yeah.
And I just don't I don't see it. It's a fine movie, and it's very interesting, the drama part of it.
Yeah, I wonder if like foreign films are...
But it is not scary.
No.
Really?
No.
Unless there's a body horror element to it.
Yeah.
That could really make a lot of people very uncomfortable, but
they don't go too far with it though.
No, they don't.
Like they don't ever really show it crawling in or out that much. Like there's one or two shots where it shows like kind of the body horror element of it, but
Yeah.
it doesn't go too hard with
Yeah.
it. And the alien doesn't, I mean, they don't do much with it.
Yeah.
It's like, all right.
I know. It feels a little wasted.
We see it a couple times. It does the thing that it does a couple times, and then that's it.
Yeah. And the ending really could have been so much more interesting. The ending really annoyed me.
Yeah. I mean, it's
There's a weird twist thrown in at the ending that I was like, the fuck does this matter?
Yeah. We'll talk about it in the spoiler section.
Yeah, we sure
The
will.
spoiler that doesn't matter.
Right. It was almost like, I don't know what it was.
It's like the filmmakers went, I don't know, fuck you.
So with that, you can also support us by heading on over to our Patreon. That's patreon.com/horror movie talk, or you can just go to our website, click one of the links at the top, says patron, become a patron. And from there, you can get access to a whole nother podcast that we produce every single week called The Afterpod, where we leave the mics rolling. And, we really appreciate all the support that we get from our patrons, and there's a whole community of Horror Movie Talk super fans on there. And I send out thank you letters with Horror Movie Talk stickers in them if you become a patron, so make sure to head over there.
Yeah, I just want to say, even if you're there for 1 month, we appreciate you so much.
Yes.
For just, because you don't know, what the impact of, a couple bucks does for the show.
Big time.
Because our sponsors that pay us to do advertisements, it's not that much compared to...
It's very little.
Yeah. In terms of, the value that we get from people supporting us, it's the vast majority is from patrons.
Yes, that is absolutely true. You can also support us and rep our brand, my brand, by heading over to horrormovietalk.com/shop. And from there, you can buy a shirt, a red or black shirt. And I think we probably still have plenty of female shirts, as well as unisex, handy.
Special thank you, as always, to our resident artist, Dustin Goebel. Look at that image that he created for this episode. Isn't that fucking awesome?
Just
fantastic. If you want to ask him to do art for you, he'll do that. Send him a commission by contacting him on Instagram at dgoebel00. That's at DGOEBEL00. And make your artistic dreams come true. If you want to leave us a voicemail, call 682-253-4468.
And thanks again for listening, and let's get into spoilers. Spoilers. That was not impressive.
I like to say that.
I sure do. Ratty.
Spoilers.
Anyway.
Okay, I'm not gonna do it anymore.
So my first note in this whole thing is the subtitles are fucking fast. Holy shit.
Yeah,
I'm
so bothered by the subtitles. I'll say it again. It was so early. I wish I could show you how early it was, because, I couldn't even
There should be an award specifically for best subtitles, because it makes the difference so muchly.
Right.
It's crazy. And
when the subtitles are strongly subtitles.
There is no better way to make me feel inadequate than to do this with the subtitles, because I'm just like, oh my god, I'm retired. I'm unable to.
Right.
I can't read good.
And then sometimes subtitles, they choose the worst, smallest font
down in the corner.
And you're because I'm so bothered by the assumption that people have giant screens now, so we can make text super small and expect them to be able to read it. I'm like, god damn, I'm not sitting right next to the TV. It's across the room.
Yeah, and so many
my
people
vision's bad.
And so many people are watching it on computers, and when you hover between a computer, between one screen and another,
right, brings up the
and it pushes the, and then anyway. So
the subtitles, were super annoying.
Yeah, but we start out on an orbital spaceship in 1983 with two cosmonauts, and it is clear that the commander's psychological condition is bad. It's kind of a weird conversation that they have, or it just may be strangely subtitled, which is probably...
I don't remember this part. What made you say that?
They said something like... should we tell them about the commander's condition? And one of them is the commander, I think.
Oh, no, it's I don't think it was psychological. I mean, later it's revealed what is wrong with him.
Okay. What? Go.
He has Addison's disease, which is basically cancer. He has cancer that prevents him from creating cortisol, which comes into play later in the movie.
Oh, I missed this entirely.
Yeah, I don't remember. I mean, it seems like they're just having a fun time talking to each other, like singing songs and saying what they're going to do when they get back to Earth.
Yeah. Okay, my apologies. So yeah, they're discussing what they're going to do when they go home. But then there's like noises and shit outside the space.
Well, all of a sudden, like it goes into like a barrel roll, like an almost uncontrollable like roll, and they're like, then they pull it out and I'm like, well, that was weird. And
Yeah.
go about their space business.
Yeah, it's an interest, but they see something, a little sliver of movement outside the window that shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
And then they land in the great land of Kazakhstan, crash land, and now is when we learn that things are fucked, because the camera kind of pans around the crash, and one of them has been thoroughly killed to death. Or at least he looks mauled and I think he makes an appearance later in the movie, but he's actually still alive.
Yeah.
And the other one, his eyes are all black, which, as we all know, when your eyes turn black,
you're an alien.
But we still don't thoroughly know what's going on, but I mean, it piqued my interest right away with all this. It's like, oh shit, okay, so obviously, and then the poster for this thing gives so much away because it has the alien on the poster. It has the silhouette of the alien, and then and they show the alien in the trailer. Yeah, so I felt like I knew the whole movie.
You kind of assume it's gonna be mostly in space with an alien in space, and the
trailer suggests it's on Earth.
Okay.
But yes, in any event, you're like, oh, okay, so there's going to be an alien who's going to run around and attack people. And there was such a hubbub about this movie, maybe because there just wasn't very many new releases, that I thought, wow, it's going to do something really, truly unique and different. And it kind of did. I mean, it didn't focus on the monster. It's a monster movie that's not really about a monster. Or maybe the monster is the USSR. Or maybe the monster is...
Maybe the monster's inside us all along.
Maybe you're the monster, or your poor decisions.
Maybe I'm the monster. Maybe everyone's the monster.
Oh, my God.
Monsters.
Yeah, so this, and we'll get into how it kind of tackled a lot of that stuff. But first, we're introduced to a courtroom where a doctor is kind of being like court-martialed. She's being charged with negligence, and she's a doctor in neuropsychology. She did a thing to prevent a seizure that almost caused the death of one of her patients, but she stands by it. This is a stereotypical Soviet, like, you're guilty board. Just admit your guilt. Do the thing. We expect you to do the thing. And if you don't, you're going to be held in contempt and basically fucked anyway. So you choose the level of fucked that you get. Right. Do it now. And this movie brought about a lot of thoughts about my favorite miniseries of all time, Chernobyl.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of undercut this movie of like, well, we already watched like one of the scariest, most intensely like existential dread movies or miniseries of the last decade in Chernobyl. It's like, this is nothing. This is not like all the things that it's trying to comment on in terms of like bureaucracy.
It was done better.
It was done way better in real life.
Yeah. Oh man, if you guys have not seen the HBO miniseries Chernobyl that came out in 2018, no,
was that 2018?
Yes, it was. It was 2018. You must. It is amazing. It is just the first episode is.
The first two episodes, it makes me feel an amount of dread that I've never experienced from like anything on screen.
Yeah.
That like blue ray shooting out into the sky. I mean, how many times have you seen like light shooting up into the sky. It's like, oh yeah, every Avengers or comic book movie is like, the villain has a big laser that's shooting down or up. Like,
Right.
that's all we got.
Right.
This is like, this actually happened.
Yeah.
There's this eerie blue glow in the distance, and you're like, oh, that's a bunch of like extremely deadly poisonous radiation just shooting out of this space.
Fission is occurring constantly on Earth. The sun is here,
Right.
right here.
Over there. Look.
Yeah, it's a crazy. Yeah, this made me pine to watch Chernobyl.
Right. Yeah.
Because of it had a lot of the what do you call the version of architecture? It's like Soviet extremism or something like that. It's like sadness architecture. This was shot in Moscow in a building in a
like brutalist architecture.
brutalist.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sadness. Yeah. This was shot almost entirely in a facility in Moscow that was a brutalist architecture building.
Just concrete blocks with no windows.
Yeah. I briefly went to California Polytechnic University in San Luis Obispo, California. And a lot of their architecture there is brutalist.
Yeah.
Got me why. I mean, it's all prison space. It's all
Right.
prison architecture. It's concrete.
It's one of those things where it's like, it looks really cool and it
Oh, yeah.
deserves its place, like, in the world, but also, like, I wouldn't really want to go there for an extended amount of time.
Try living in
Right.
a brutalist piece of architecture. It's
mean-
like living in a prison.
I also don't think there's any man that wouldn't love living in a concrete block.
True. Actually, I've told you this before. I have a house idea that I would like to be a
Right.
concrete block.
There's like I think my wife knew someone in like Florida. It was somewhere in like Hurricane Alley where
Makes sense.
their entire house is like surrounded by concrete walls.
Yeah.
And so them and their neighbors just go into their house and they're perfectly safe. Like
Yeah.
nothing could
Nothing
ever
can touch
possibly
you.
happen to
Yeah.
them. Yeah. Anyways, concrete.
Yeah, concrete. So, as she's being kind of made to admit her guilt, the colonel shows up and he kind of subversively he's like, I don't believe in giving you orders or anything like that, but I sure would appreciate it. I appreciate the work that you do, and I sure would appreciate it if you would come assist me at this remote facility to determine someone's sanity or their state of mind. Because this would be in service of your country, but more importantly, you would be able to help with the mental state of one of our patients.
Yeah.
And so, of course, she agrees to go. They, let's see here. She says, why me? And he says, because we need a professional who can save a hero. And I like kind of like the duty aspect of this movie. And it's kind of a mind frame that I feel like a lot of Russian or Soviets has been drilled into their psyche for centuries.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing, because it has two sides, and you see this in Chernobyl too, where it's like, yes, it's authoritarian and kind of like just like strong arming you into like, you have to do this, but also there's like the good aspect of like, we're all in this together,
right? And there's an element of buy-in from everyone. That's like, things suck across the board universally, but they suck for him as bad as they suck for me.
Right.
And so I have a sense of duty. And again, that is really well displayed in Chernobyl.
Yeah. And there's a really, I mean, this is probably the most interesting, kind of hard to put your finger on relationship, is the relationship between Tatiana and Colonel Samirodov. It's like, you can't really, I mean, maybe I wasn't paying close enough attention, or maybe it was hard to read the subtitles, but it seemed like the Colonel was like, he's just doing what he's doing, and he has his own motives.
Right.
But he kind of understands, like, why someone might not like it.
Oh, they're cut from the same cloth for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. He's doing what he thinks is best for country, which is we need a weapon.
How to weaponize an alien?
This is my job. We got to weaponize this alien. And her job is to determine...
save this guy.
To save this guy. And that's their job for country. For the Netherlands!
There's a lot of mention about heroes, and especially around like cosmonauts. Like, listen, we can't let this happen to our heroes. We can't let people think that something happened to the heroes. I wonder how much that was true. Like, do they really, really idolize cosmonauts into the 80s?
I mean, I think there's an element... I don't know.
I wonder how much like hero worship is part of the culture, because that seemed like real shorthand. I wonder if that's like...
I think it stands true. I mean...
That's probably true of any country, though. It's like you have your own heroes.
Yeah, but I think it fits into specifically the Soviet propaganda machine very, very, very well. You know, the propaganda machine needs standout figures to prove how good it is, right? It needs accomplishments. It needs to continuously make accomplishments. And not only to make accomplishments, but to minimize or disappear any failings, like Chernobyl. They didn't acknowledge anything had gone wrong for like a year.
It's not good, not bad.
Yeah, it's like somebody in a faraway country and some sort of satellite, Soviet bloc satellite country had to be like, hey, did you notice like the background radiation on Earth went up today? Like a lot? What's that about?
Yeah.
So it's kind of part of this whole propaganda machine of we need a hero to prove how good this system is.
Yeah. So she's brought into kind of the fold of what's happening to this cosmonaut, and she's shown him pretty quickly.
Yeah, she's shown Constantine basically in a safety cell that has, double-sided mirrors, and he's in observation, 24-hour observation.
That's right. So he's kind of in like psychological observation, and she's trying to go in and kind of determine what's going on with him psychologically and physically. And something's happening because he's not reacting the way humans do.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, she sees Dr. Regal. There's really only 4 characters in this movie worth noting. So there's Tatiana. She's our protagonist. There's Constantine. He's the man behind the he's the hero. He's the cosmonaut. You have the colonel, who is interested in the alien, and then you have Dr. Regal, who is the kind of the other psychologist or neuropsychologist available that Tatiana is kind of horning in on his territory.
Yeah.
He feels strongly about that. So we see Dr. Regal interviewing Constantine, and Constantine is...
Well, you see him try to hypnotize him
trying to hypnotize him, and Constantine says something to the effect of, "Oh, don't you know, cosmonauts are very strong-minded, and that we can't be hypnotized."
Right.
So, and Dr. Regal says something to the effect of, "I'm going to fucking report you for this shit. This is intentional. Like you're fucking with me intentionally." So it kind of shows that Dr. Regal is a weak man. He's easily gotten the best of.
Yeah.
And I just like, on a side note, apparently, and I've just read this, people who are very strong-willed are actually better subjects for hypnosis than those who have a very weak will.
Really? Why is that?
Because it requires buy-in. You have to be bought into the concept of being hypnotized, because you have to basically subconsciously agree to the contract of being hypnotized.
Yeah.
And I mean, my dad is one of the most hard-headed, stubborn people I've ever met in my life, and he's ridiculously easy to hypnotize.
Yeah.
He got hypnotized out of cigarettes.
Wow.
One session.
Wow.
One time, never smoked a cigarette again. Had been smoking like a fucking chimney since he was 14.
Wow.
Yeah. And went in one time and never... I was like, so... It's been like 15 years. I was like, so you ever crave a cigarette? He's like, ugh. I mean, yeah, no, I do, but I couldn't think of doing one.
I've always wanted to be hypnotized. I've never been hypnotized.
Neither have I. Yeah.
I actually have a book on hypnosis.
I thought you were going to say I've always wanted to do a cigarette.
Just like, fuck it.
It's good. It's both good and bad at the same time.
I have no desire to ever smoke cigarettes.
No desire.
Ever. Cigars, I could see smoking cigars.
They're great.
But yeah, I have a book on hypnosis that tells you how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that hard.
No.
It's like just, what you see on every pop culture thing is basically it.
I think the hard part
Talk in a steady voice and tell them what to do and, just lead them through a series of, relaxation exercises, basically.
I'm a chicken, Marge. Yeah, I know. So she starts off. So or Tatiana starts off. She walks in, sits down with Constantine, and she starts by provoking him to see what he does. And she says to him, she's read a little bit on him, and she knows that he had left a child to go into space. Like he basically abandoned a child.
I abandoned my boy.
I abandoned my boy.
Abandoned my child.
A little, there will be blood for you folks. And she does so to kind of measure to get his hormonal levels to like provoke a reaction, and everyone's like, "Why did you tell him so much of the truth?"
And then he's like, his reaction is like, "You hurt my feelings. I don't want to talk to you anymore.
I don't want to think about my kid that I abandoned." Yeah. Can you fathom abandoning your kids?
No, not at all.
Now,
well, this was like,
and it's got me thinking, because nobody goes into anything being like, "I'm going to abandon this fucking child," right?
The way they describe it, I'm trying to remember what the circumstances are. So he had a girl that he didn't marry,
right?
And she got pregnant. Did she?
Pregnant.
So she got pregnant with his baby, is that right? Or did she have a baby previously?
She got pregnant with his baby.
Yeah, with his baby. So it is his child.
Yeah.
And then she died, and instead of adopting the child, which doesn't make any sense because he would have to admit that it was his child. He sends it to an orphanage.
Right.
It's kind of a dick move.
Yeah, very.
And he said in his defense of like, "Oh, well, I didn't know," which bullshit.
Yeah. It's one of these things that
I didn't know my wife was 8 months pregnant.
I abandoned my boy. So yeah, she pretty much right after this, we get to see the monster, and they bring her into the facility, and they let her watch this thing come out in the middle of the night. Like it's like 2:30 in the morning, and this thing crawls out of his throat. And they got this cool. The aesthetic of this movie is both a little bit jarring because it doesn't make sense in terms of the time, 1983. They have this heat vision sort of like camera that's just watching him, and and you get to see the warm creature crawl out of his throat. And but it doesn't make sense because it's kind of early. It's 1983, and it's like, okay. And then later in the movie, she has a set of heat vision binoculars, which is like, that definitely doesn't exist or didn't exist back then. But in any event, it was like, I didn't take too much of a it wasn't like a big continuity error for me, just because it's a cool aesthetic choice that they just went with, this thermal imaging camera thing.
Yeah, I mean, I knew if I said anything about it, you'd be like, "All right, Bryce, the stickler." It's like, but honestly, that technology would not exist.
It did bring me out of it, but at the same time, I was like, "But it's a cool aesthetic."
Yeah,
and they've already committed to it, so why not?
I don't know. I mean, I take the opposite viewpoint of like that. Night vision is so fucked out.
Well, it's not night vision; it's heat vision.
Heat vision or whatever.
But and it is the version of heat vision that's real.
Right.
It's not the Predator.
Right. Yeah.
And no, don't get me wrong. The Predator one is real as well, but it's not what you use for these long shots. It's the grayscale one where white is hot and black is dark, is cold.
My brother's in the military, and he assures me that whatever they show on pop culture in terms of like their surveillance abilities, it's like yeah, we can do that, but it's so much higher definition. Like you can literally see like what they ate that day from their shit.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he had corn.
Yeah, like oh man, some of the craziest videos are the ones from like attack helicopters at night, or during the day, like where they have these, where you see little men running out from,
and then there's just chunks of white.
Yeah, and they get blown up or shot and just explode apart. Crazy stuff. Don't watch it if you don't like seeing people die. Which, why would you?
So the monster, we see it crawl out of the guy's mouth like a giant loogie, and the monster's all...
The glub glub gab gala. I love books, and this basement is a true treasure trove.
I am the glub glub glab glab.
I am the glub glub gab galab, the schwabble double wabble gabble flibber blabber blab. I'm full of schwibble glibber kind. I am the yeast of thoughts and mind.
Okay.
Schwabble double glibber glabber schwibble schwab glab.
I love this.
Double schwibble schwabble glibber glab schwab. Schwabble double.
Yeah, so you must have caught that TikTok video of that guy with the bright mouth doing that song.
No, but it's kind of a meme right now on TikTok. There's a couple people. There's actually the guy that sang it has a TikTok account.
Oh, wow.
He did it again. So.
That is a hard song to sing.
Yeah.
So it comes out. It's kind of got like a manta ray head. It's kind of got like a kind
of a cross between like a manta ray and like a cobra.
Yeah. And it's very slight and slim, and there's an element of it being so small. It has to be, because it basically lives in Constantine's throat, and it has been determined that, well, this thing is at least in some sort of symbiosis with Constantine. He relies on it to live, and it relies on him to live. So it's kind of like his or the alien has latched onto Constantine so that it could get out of like the being a pupa or something like that. You know, it's like in a safe cocoon with Constantine, and it wipes his. It is thought that it wipes his memory every night, because he seems to have no recollection of whether or not this thing exists in him, and it lives in his throat or in his esophagus, and it as its mood swings, so does his, or as its biology, how would you say, its vitals, as its vitals go up and down, so do his, and even when they're separated.
Right.
So if this thing kills a person, and it needs to kill to live, or it needs to feed to live, then as soon as you see it get nourishment, you see Constantine, his vitals improve dramatically, no matter how far separated they are.
Right.
So that's the basic premise of this monster, is it lives within Constantine. He doesn't seem to know that it exists, but as the movie progresses, Tatiana tells him, this thing is in you. And off the record, when he's not being recorded, he's like, bitch, I know this thing lives in me. But if I said that out loud to these people, then they knew that I know. And if they know that I know, then I'm never getting out of this place. And let's face it, I am this thing, and it is me.
I'm all...
Okay. And so it is revealed that, you know, the monster is cognizant of itself, and so is Constantine. And then thank you. And then we get into kind of this whole morality tale about of what it is to be a hero, Constantine's guilt surrounding him abandoning his child.
Sorry.
And everybody's sense of duty. Everybody in this movie has a strong sense of duty, with the exception of Dr. Regal. He's kind of the worm of this whole thing, and he's not that big of a worm, but he just doesn't have an allegiance that is obvious, because you have Tatiana, who is pledged to her patient, Constantine. You got the colonel, who's pledged to his country, and then you got Constantine, who is also pledged to his country and to being a hero, and he very much enjoys the benefits of being a hero, because he refers to it all the time. It seems to be the most important thing to him.
Yeah. So there's a type of room that is in every like monster infection movie.
Yeah.
That only exists in fiction, which is the concrete cell block with a full ceiling to floor, wall to wall glass panel.
Right.
It's in every like Star Trek, every like infection movie. It's like, yeah, got to show. It's got to have one entire wall that's glass, and you can't have that without the monster jumping and tapping on the glass.
Right.
It's so played out. It's like, all right, here it comes. Boogie, boogie, boogie. Dong.
Yeah.
If the glass wasn't there, it would eat me. Oh, no.
In Star Trek, it's a force field.
Yeah. And so, in reality, it'd just be probably like a little window.
A little slit that you could kind of look through and be like, Yeah. And then, this movie is a lot of the same thing.
Yeah.
The middle of this movie.
There's a lot of like kind of pointless, like plotting of like, okay, I'm going to plot with Dr. Regal and we're going to escape. Oh, well, no, we're not going to do that. I'm going to plot with the Colonel now. Oh, no, I'm going to plot with the Constantine. And like everyone's plotting and everything like is just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's like there's no real consequences for any of these times when it's discovered that they're trying to fuck around.
Right.
And like the most that happens is she gets more access.
Right.
The Colonel's like, oh yeah, well, why don't you just come down to the prison yard and watch the guy get murdered.
Yeah,
you don't have to sit in that Jeep over there with heat vision goggles. Just come on down.
It's weird because it does this a lot. It does this with a variety of things where it's like, I should have been honest with. They bring her there. They bring her there. They're like, this is everything we got. Have at it.
And then she discovers more.
And then she discovers more, and they're like, yeah, we should have been honest with you about that.
Now
So
we're going to be honest.
Here's everything. And she's like, okay, thanks. And then later on, she's like, I discovered more. And they're like, yeah, we really should have been honest with you.
Let's be on the same page now.
But it does that with a couple different things. It's
right.
like this is a trick that this movie does a lot. It's like the little mechanical dog that flips. It just keeps flipping. It's like, okay.
I mean, the thing is, like, you don't ever really feel any stakes. Like,
no.
it never really like sells it to where it could really make it a lot more nefarious and have higher stakes for her.
Right.
Because I think it kind of alludes to it, but it's never cemented that she can't escape herself.
Right.
Like, she's there for a job, and
there's an ominous feeling.
Yeah.
But no cemented stakes. You're absolutely right. Like with The Thing, 1982 John Carpenter's The Thing, you have, well, geez, it could be anybody. And the stakes are death, you know? And here, yeah, it could be death. This thing, it is revealed that this thing, this alien, as it turns out, what it needs to feed on is cortisol, which is the hormone that we produce when we're afraid.
Right.
So when it comes out, it comes out of Constantine. It reveals itself to people intentionally, like, I'm
the gub glub glab glob.
The gub go galab galab. And it reveals itself to them to invoke a response of fear. And then they go, ah! And then it's like, okay, there's the hormone. Now I can eat their hormone.
Cuts off the top of their head and starts feasting on their brain.
And
all right, so there's a scene earlier on when she like first sees the monster, and she's like, I can communicate with it, and she goes down to talk with the monster, I guess. I don't know, just go down there, and it's like and she has him open the window because she sees that like the monster was interested in this toy or something, this spinning toy.
Yeah, this toy from Constantine's childhood or something like that.
Oh, is that what it was?
Well,
I didn't even notice that.
It's some personal memento.
Didn't really make a whole lot of sense. Like, she gives it this toy, she goes inside the cell, and the monster's all like, oh, I love this fucking toy. It's like coiling around it and like, toy. And then
she goes to touch it.
Well, she slips and falls.
Right. She goes to touch it. She slips and falls. It is alerted to her presence.
Well, no, she's there. She's like, it's looking at her when she comes in, but she's not afraid, I guess.
Right. That's the thing.
So she slips and then gets afraid and then immediately attacks her foot.
Right.
And she gets pulled out. This is another thing that, like, I was expecting some kind of stakes from being bitten by it. It's like, no, it just bit you.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah. I was like, oh, she's
got to bandage it up.
It's going to impregnate her with little baby
nope.
Sputnik monsters.
No. Just bit him.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of circular talk about escaping.
Yeah.
There's a lot of circular talk about the guilt associated with your responsibilities that you've left behind, and doing the right thing. And then we kind of, I'm going to skip ahead to kind of the end of this movie. They organize an escape. She leaves with Constantine, but the creature remains at the facility. So there's kind of an action scene where the thing leaves Constantine, leaves his body, starts attacking the guards who are shooting at it, and while she makes an escape with Constantine in a car, and they start driving off into the countryside.
She figures out that, like, oh, she can give him basically a cocktail that mimics Addison's disease, which is what made the other commander not a viable host for the alien. An expectation that it will make it so the alien can't stay in his body, and then if they have long enough, they can get away.
Right. The reason it can stay in Constantine's body is because he had a cancer that prevents him from being afraid, making cortisol.
Vice versa.
Oh,
the commander that wasn't infected has Addison's disease, so he doesn't make cortisol, so that's why the alien can't stay in him. Constantine does have the stuff, so the alien can't stay in him.
My apologies. Yeah. This makes perfect sense now. So she leaves in a car to escape with Constantine, leaving the monster behind to fight the bad guards who have guns and shoot the thing.
And then we see Constantine like spitting out blood because he's affected. Anything
that happens to the thing happens to Constantine. So now we got, he's in dire duress. I'm
always confused by movies that do this, where it's like, oh, he's feeling what the monster's feeling, like when it has a connection.
He is here. It's the movie slamming you in the face with, he is a monster. He's both a hero and a monster. You can't be one without being the other.
Sure, but like when the monster gets shot, he spits out blood like he's just shot. It always confused me, like, well, what's happening there? Because there's no bullet wounds on his body, but he's still spitting out blood.
Shut up.
Like, is there a hole? Like, where's the trauma happening?
Shut up. That's where.
All right.
It's happening in the shut up, Bryce.
Can't he just go like, oh, ow, ooh, ow, ouchie.
Ow, ooh. Yeah, so the colonel shows up to sternly talk to Tatiana and retain his hero that's so important to him. And then this is the best scene in the whole movie. He's the top of his head is just lopped right off by this thing.
You get like the closest up, version of what happens when the monster eats some people.
It was badass. And then Vizhnikov or Constantine kills himself with the monster. It wasn't clear to me. What did it? It seemed like it went back inside him.
Yeah, it crawled back in.
And then she was telling him a lie, I guess. She's like, it left. The monster's not here anymore. But he would know. He's already told her, hey, I know this thing's inside me. We're copacetic. Like, we're simpatico.
The answer is, shut up, David.
Yeah, okay. So he kills himself with a gun. And then there's still 15 minutes left in the movie.
Yeah.
He did the responsible thing.
It's pretty unsatisfying too, because like it's not like the monster crawls out and tries to infect someone else. Just like that'd be easily. No, it never tries to infect anyone else. You'd assume in this movie there'd be like a scene where the two things that I would expect the ending to contain would be, one, the monster has survived long enough and had a viable host long enough to where it can survive outside now.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It doesn't need it without him. Or two, it infects someone else. I was expecting the whole time, we haven't even talked about this, but it keeps cutting back and forth to, quote unquote, supposedly Constantine's orphan son in the orphanage.
Yeah.
And I was like, I had a Bryce called it moment. I'm like, the first time I saw that little kid, I was like, oh, the monster's going to infect that kid and cure his, his paralysis or whatever is going on with its legs. It's going to cure it. It's like, that's the obvious route to take with this monster, is like, it will survive on in this little kid and the kid will be strong.
That didn't happen.
Nope. They just killed him. He killed himself.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Then Tatiana goes on to adopt this little kid. Mm-hmm. So Constantine's lost kid. Uh-huh. And as the kid is leaving the facility, the woman, one of the workers of the facility, of this adoption, of this orphanage, says, "Goodbye, little boy. Be good, little boy." Mm-hmm. And the little boy goes, "I am not little boy. I am little girl." And then the movie kind of ends.
Okay, I'm wondering if you got like what it was trying to do, which is possibly even dumber than you imagine. Mm. So throughout this whole movie, it shows.
I thought it was just the movie being like, you can't, don't assume my gender.
No, it's dumber than that. It's much dumber.
It's like, what? Why would it do this?
So it shows this kid in the orphanage, like, going back and forth for no real apparent reason other than to remind you that Constantine has a kid in an orphanage. Mm. And the very last time you see that kid is what you describe. She's like, "Okay, bye, little boy." And she's like, "No, I'm not little boy. My name is
Tanya.
Titania."
Yeah.
Which is the main character of the film. She's the protagonist.
Right.
So that's her as a little girl.
But she's already there.
No, when the child comes out to meet her, that is Constantine's son.
Oh.
So we never actually saw Constantine's son the whole time. We were seeing her as a little girl in an orphanage, because
this makes so much more sense.
Because that matters for some reason, and she had crippled legs, and now she's a runner, I guess. And that's, I don't know. Okay. I don't.
Wow, really?
The most pointless twist. Like, it doesn't add anything to it other than, I guess she was an orphan and could.
Everyone has hard times. It's hard for everyone.
Just everyone in Soviet Russia is orphan all time.
Well, I mean, it can't be fun in Soviet Russia.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you have it. I am officially moved down to a 6.
It's so dumb.
Wow. That's a real reveal for me.
Yeah.
Y'all can call me stupid all you want. I think that is a dumb. That's a dumb. So my biggest problem really is that the ending was just, first of all, that's dumb. Second of all, the alien just dies.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's no stakes. Okay, I guess everyone's dead. That's that. And she adopts.
I'm irritated now.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So
I'm almost dumping it down to a 5 or 4.
So a final recommendation. We just shat on this movie. I did not have a bad time watching this movie, though.
No, it's not. It's not bad.
It's just it just doesn't stand up to critical analysis.
It's pretty slow too.
Yeah, it is.
It's not
real
super
slow.
exciting.
It is 2 hours long. It's 1 hour and 54 minutes long. So my final recommendation for this is, if you enjoy horror that doesn't try too hard to scare you, instead focusing on intriguing you, this is for you. It is a thriller with a monster, and the morality play makes it an interesting discussion piece. It is interesting to discuss, I'll give it that.
Yeah.
Especially in the context of its Russian roots.
Yeah, if you like these alien infection movies, this is like right up your alley. It's a really good version of that.
Yeah.
So
You know the movie. Okay,
it's fine.
I've got a better suggestion for you. I'm trying to remember the name of it.
Okay, well, I got a piece, so you can look it up.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I wonder if you'll like this one. District 9.
Oh yeah, District 9 is fantastic,
Isn't it? It got so much hate.
No,
Yeah.
people love that movie.
I don't think so, man. District 9 blew me away. That was a Peter Jackson produced movie.
Yeah, I mean, the one that people shit on was this kind of sequel, which was Elysium.
Elysium was a sequel to District 9, wasn't it?
I can't. How can you hate on District 9? That's a great movie.
I really enjoyed it a lot. Yeah. But yeah, that's a good sci-fi thriller.
Yeah.
Anyway,
really great alien infection movie.
Yeah, it is.
And they don't have the prison. Do they? Yeah. Do they have the prison cell where it's a giant window? In that one? I'm trying to think if they do.
Yeah, I think they do.
Yeah.
I gotta go
at least like a testing chamber.
I gotta go back and watch that movie. That was a lot of fun. Yeah. It was a big action. A lot of action.
That's another really good. I guess it wasn't really found footage. It was documentary style.
Yeah, it was great. That's
like the most interesting treatment of an alien invasion or alien. Like, it's literally just treating it as, oh, these are illegal aliens.
Right.
Like, they're just a burden on society.
Right.
And no one likes them. And everyone's like condescending to these aliens that have obviously super, super advanced technology.
When people think Peter Jackson, they think Lord of the Rings, obviously. But, Bad Taste, Brain Dead, District 9, even though he only produced District 9, it has a feel that is very non-Lord of the Rings Peter Jackson, which is like this objective, like gritty humanity to everything that's just like very matter of fact and also kind of comedy mixed with sadness.
Yeah.
Like,
have you, kind of satire.
Satire, yes.
Have you seen Elysium or Chappie? I haven't seen either one of those.
I've seen Elysium and Chappie. Elysium, kind of a nothing movie. It's not a lot there.
I wish they didn't cast Matt Damon. It's like the least interesting person that I want to watch in that movie.
Right. Yeah, it felt. Yeah, it did. It was. I mean, it was whatever.
Yeah.
I was so excited. I remember to watch it, and I watched it in theaters because it was like loosely tied to District 9, and it just didn't have much to do at all with that.
Yeah. Did it even have the prawns in it? Did it even have
I don't think so. No. Huh. And Chappie, I mean, it was fun enough. It was an interesting movie. I don't know if Chappie was actually tied to it, other than. Was it? I mean,
I guess I don't know.
These are movies that were supposed to be based around South Africa, so that's, I think, it's close to this,
right?
And they're sci-fi.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, so do you have any final recommendations for this?
Yeah, I think I already said it. Just if you're into alien infection movies, yeah.
So with that, let's get into taglines. Here's taglines. Taglines is a little bit where we come up with alternate taglines that are funny, stupid, cringy for the movie we just watched. So, with that, here is my first tagline. Sputnik.
Excuse me, did something crawl down your throat and die?
It didn't die.
Wow. Wow. Bravo.
Here you go. Here it is again.
Excuse me, did something crawl down your throat and die?
It didn't die.
There's Barney Gumble.
God damn. How apropos is that?
Yeah. That's Barney Gumble's short film. Finn.
Sputnik. In communist Russia, you shoot you.
Uh-oh. Wait a minute. In Soviet Russia, alien drives you. That's literally my second tagline.
Yeah. Sputnik. The biggest twist doesn't matter.
Oh, man. It doesn't matter at all.
No.
It upset me how much it didn't matter. Okay, Sputnik.
Excuse me, did something crawl down your throat and die?
It didn't die.
Sorry, that's not correct. Bryce, you...
You're doing it again, which is also genius.
No, I'm sorry. Oh, here it is. Here we go. Let me clear my throat.
We'll get flagged. So, Sputnik, don't lose your head.
Yeah, everybody does lose their head in this. Do you have any more?
I have one more.
Okay,
Do you have another one?
No, that's all I got.
Sputnik. The only thing to fear is fears. Oh. All right. I should have just stopped when I was behind.
Well, on that note, it is definitely time to stop horror movie talk for this week. We sure do thank you guys for listening. We hope that you enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to subscribe. Like I said earlier, we release new episodes every single Wednesday. If you'd like to keep us afloat, you can do so by supporting us on Patreon. You can also do so by going to our website, horrormovietalk.com, clicking through the link that leads to Amazon at the top of the page. It's green, and doing all your Amazon shopping. After clicking that link, bookmark it, and use it every time you buy stuff on Amazon, and a little bit of that will go to us. Of course, support our sponsors because they support us, and support Dustin Goebel because he's just an angel.
He's the man
with no wings, and so. With that, if you'd like to give us a call to our voicemail line, do so by calling 682-253-4468. We love you so much and hope you have a great week. Bye-bye.
Bye.